Hello everybody, my name is Peter George. I am Chief Executive Officer of Alicanto Minerals. A little bit about myself. I am a mining engineer and mineral economist by profession, and I have been with the company since July of 2018. So moving quickly into the presentation as we don't have much time. So just 1 minute on why you should invest in Alicanto. So look, we've got a highly prospective exploration projects, 275 square kilometres of tenement package in the Bergslagen district in Sweden, and that is famous for being one of the most highly mineralised places on Earth. Highly prospective for high-grade gold, copper, silver, zinc and lead. Look, we've reinterpreted the whole area. Fantastic team that we have, led by Erik Lundström. Existing geology has been reinterpreted, providing a high impact, fresh perspective with modern exploration techniques. I can go into that in a bit more detail. Significant mineralisation. We have 60 kilometres of limestone hosted mineralised zone, contains high grade grab samples, drilling assays up to 9.5% copper, 16 grams per tonne gold, 285 grams of silver, 3.9% lead and 8.2% zinc. 1.3 kilometre wide by 14 kilometre long, strongly altered mineralised copper gold skarn zone with very high grade grab samples of up to 11.9% copper and 2.9 grams per tonne gold at surface. Strong cash position, $2.9 million in the bank as of the 31st of March 2020, and a very low market capitalisation actually of today, around about the $14.2 million mark, providing a significant upside and opportunity at this current share price. Just on Alicanto itself, so as it says there on the slide, exploration company with a portfolio of historically producing high-grade VMS and skarn projects located in the Bergslagen in Sweden. Company also has a portfolio of gold projects in Guyana, South America, being the Aricaca and Iana projects. 253 million shares on the register, with a share price on the 15th of June of 0.056. Gives them, as mentioned, a market capital of about the $14 to $15 million mark. Bergslagen, if you haven't heard much of it, it's known as the home of the giants, and as I said before, one of the most mineralised places on Earth. We have three major projects within this particular area, with Garpenberg having mined 33.5 million tonnes up until 2 years ago, but now with 120 million tonnes and 30 years of production in front of it. The Zinc Gruven mine, 47 million tonnes in reserve, owned by Dundee, and the Falun mine, which was mined up until 1992 with 28 million tonnes mined, and some pretty sensational grades, as you can see there on the slide. Alicanto's projects itself, so we have 6 projects now. We did start with the 2, but that is expanding with the Oxbow, Neverberg, Wolf Mountain, the Hareton, Bird Mountain and the Birch Mountain projects. A real growth opportunity in Alicanto. Look, there's a lot of information here on this slide, but in summary, what we've done now is we've had a discovery at our Wolf Mountain project where we've drilled into distal copper skarn mineralisation, which has really turned our ideas on the whole district on its head. On the back of that drilling, we have pegged a whole new areas, increasing our land holding from 158 square kilometres to over 250 square kilometres. During field trips in April and June, our geologists have been crawling all over the Hareton project, which is only about 10 kilometres from our Wolf Mountain project, and found what we think is the best example of regional scale copper skarn mineralisation in the Bergslagen district observed to date at surface, and with historical rock chips of up to 3.1% copper. It's also coarse grain garnet and pyroxene alteration of an extensive limestone unit, and proximity to an interpreted causative intrusion with endoskarn alteration. So everything that we are looking for at Wolf Mountain. And as mentioned, it's really turning the whole interpretation of what's going on its head. Look, this copper scan ahead and gives Alicanto that you have great confidence that our observations of distal copper scan mineralisation of Wolf Mountain are accurate. And because of that, this is really giving us the confidence now to vector in on where we need to, as well as looking at other potential copper scan projects within the area. Upcoming work in Sweden, so expanded IP server at Wolf Mountain commencing on the last week of June this year. Multiple new undrilled electromagnetic EM conductors derived from airborne EM have been identified along our limestone ore horizon at Neverberg, and we're hoping to get those drilled in September, October. We also have other priority drill targets that are going to be coming out of the fieldwork and the geophysics that we are moving into in the next couple of months. So just a little bit on the expanded land position. Look, 275 square kilometres, copper scan and VMS, a new interpretation for the area. As mentioned, this is previous understanding of the Falun area within the district has been that it is a predominantly VMS style mineralised zone. We are now very firmly of the belief that we are dealing with copper skarn in this particular area that could well even be what we could call Falun, being a copper skarn VMS hybrid type ore body. But what we also have found, though, is 60 kilometres of limestone hosted mineralised zone with high grade grab samples and drilling assays of some phenomenal grades up to 9.5% copper, 16 grams per tonne gold, 285 grams per tonne silver, 3.9% lead, 8.2% zinc. And these are all at surface or close to the surface. We also have a 1.3 kilometre wide by 14 kilometre long, strongly altered mineralised copper gold skarn zone at Wolf Mountain, which is, as I said, is turning our heads with regards to what we believe is happening in the whole district now. There's two copper skarns that have been discovered, but we think that there's a significant potential for more of those. If I just direct you a little bit also to the couple of diagrams there, what we're also believing now is that we're dealing with these limestone hosted mineralised zones. As you can see, we've had the whole area has been compressed from the northwest down to the southeast, creating these synclines. We've had during the last ice age, we've had the ice come over the top, basically take the top off these things and create these vertically standing limestone hosted ore horizons. Super exciting from our point of view, and makes it a damn sight easier for us to vector in on where it is that we're going to be exploring. So cracking the code, as mentioned, copper skarn at Wolf Mountain has really turned our thoughts towards what it is that we do here. We also found the Hareden discovery. If we have a look at the model on the page there, which talks about the Einaudi model from 1978, with the causative intrusion on the left-hand side, temperature decreasing as you go to the right, and creating those zonations out from the copper skarn, or from the Pluton itself. So the drilling that we've been undertaking at Wolf Mountain, that has, we believe, has been quite distal to where the main part of the Pluton is. But as we've gone and taken a closer look at Hareden, we can see everything from the distal through to the proximal part of the copper skarn, and that's getting us quite excited. Recent drill results. So the Wolf Mountain drill results, again, I won't go into this in too much detail. You can see it because it's quite distal, but it's given us lots of really good ideas on where to go next. So we have an IP survey starting at Wolf Mountain in the next week, which is going to help us vector in towards the copper skarn, or sorry, the juicier parts of the copper skarn and the causative intrusion. Listable, some phenomenal grades that we had at one of our anomalies that we drilled up in the Oxbow project late last year. The Falun copper mine, again, this is 28 million tonnes. That's some absolutely phenomenal grades. 4% copper, 4 grams per tonne gold, 5% zinc, 2% lead, and 35 grams per tonne silver. we believe now that this particular project is actually sitting on exactly the same limestone hosted mineralised zones as our projects on our tenements. So this is what we're looking for, another one of these. Wolf Mountain project, I'll leave that for you guys to have a look at in more detail, but it's there within the presentation. The Heddon project itself, and that's a great story where the guys have been walking around out in the bush over the last couple of months, have discovered the limestone mineralised zone, as I keep talking about, but also finding the copper skarn mineralised rocks just sitting there at surface. And there's another example there on the left-hand side where the guys have been mining, historically mining for limestone back in the day. And they have been looking for obviously the most whitest rock they can possibly find, and then throwing away the copper skarn, which we can see observed chalcopyrite and potentially chalcocite in it as well. So super exciting from our point of view, and an obvious target for us to move on to as well. Newsflow coming up, so Q2, the results from Wolf Mountain drilling, so that's just been released. Expanded land position and new projects, that's also information that's just been released with more to come. Geophysics starting at the end of June, the IP survey at Wolf Mountain to help us vector in to the causative intrusion there. We've also got ground EM that we're looking to start at the Neverberg project, and potentially even at Heddon as we move forward. And we're expecting, a whole bunch of new priority drill targets to be highlighted and for us to get into those come September of this year. So a very busy time for us, and looking forward to getting the drill rigs spinning again soon. Just a quick discussion on the point on the board. So as you can see, there are quite a lot of very experienced people on our board, as well as assisting us in the company. There's myself as Chief Executive Officer, Eric Lundstrom, who both of us happened to start in Bull Leader on the same day back in 1995, and have remained very good friends ever since. Very fortunate to have the help of Steve Parsons and Mike Naylor, who you would probably be aware of from their Bellevue fame, and also being large shareholders within the company. And that's pretty much it for the presentation. But if anybody has any particular questions, more than happy to set up a separate meeting and discuss that in more detail. Thanks for listening.